Okay. Hi. We're doing simple machines today, starting on page 124. We're only going to cover three really short videos that, of course, I will give you the link to. Anyway, that's it. Okay, we're not going to cover about half this chapter. Monday, we will have a handout with questions. No questions today. Then Tuesday, we'll finish this up, do some experiments in class that hopefully we can get on recorded for you to see also. Okay? All right. So, talking about the picture there on 124, the egg beater, the boat, the fishing pole, they all make up simple machines. Okay? And as you learned in the last section, a machine helps you to do work by changing the amount or direction of the force that you apply. There are 6 basic kinds of simple machines. Okay? You have the inclined plane, the wedge, the screw, the lever, the wheel and axle, and the pulley. And sometimes you can combine those and make a compound machine or whatever. You actually use more than one simple machine in order to create another machine. Okay? Yes, Bryce?
I don't know if I'm done or not, but is your desk made up of simple machines? Yeah, because it has a screw.
Well, it's got screws in it, yeah. And it's got the drawers, the wheels of the drawers that makes it slide. So yeah, technically there is some simple machines being used on that
The whole
desk.
thing's not a simple machine.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay. In this section, we're going to learn how different types of simple machines help you to do work. Okay. An inclined plane. Okay. I got all choked up with that good question. I'm sorry. I got to get some air. There just comes a time that, it just comes a time that you can't breathe.
You're going to go to jail now.
You know what? Worse things could happen. Have you ever had a lift to lift something from a lower level to a higher level? All right, the job is much easier if you have a ramp. For example, a ramp makes it much easier to push a grocery cart or up a curb. Okay. You have noticed we've got them out in front of the school. There's places, usually at a corner, where the sidewalk kind of comes in and it goes into a flatted out area. That is for someone that might be in a wheelchair or something that they can roll up with. That serves kind of as a ramp. Okay. It's not a real steep. You don't even think about it. But that's what that is. Actually, it's a ramp for a handicapped person to be able to access the building. Okay. And you'll see them so you can push carts up on all kinds of things. A ramp is an example of a simple machine. It is an inclined plane. Okay, that's all it is. Okay, and an inclined plane is simply, that right there. That's an inclined plane. See that? That's an inclined plane. Okay, it's just a ramp. Now, the input and output depends on the height and the length of the ramp or the plane, the inclined plane. Yes, sir.
Right now, the people at the office are wondering, I don't know what I did to my doorstop.
No, I had those. I actually made those. So I didn't steal those from anyone.
Wait, you made that?
Well, yeah, that's a piece of wood.
Well, no,
It's at an angle. That was not rocket science. All right. So an inclined plane allows you to exert your input force over a longer distance. As a result, the input force needed is less than the output force. Okay? So the input force, and we're going to break this down, make it simpler in a second. The input force that you use on an inclined plane is the force in which you push or pull the object. Okay? The output force is the force that you would need to lift that object if you didn't have a plane, an inclined plane. Okay? And recall that the force is equal to the weight of the object. Okay? So the mechanical advantage, okay, here, this is how we're going to figure this out. You can determine the ideal mechanical advantage of an inclined plane by dividing the length of the inclined plane by its height. Okay? It uses an example down here. if you're loading a truck that is 1 meter high, okay, and using a ramp, 1 meter is about that high probably, okay, and you're using a ramp that is 3 meters long, okay, the ideal mechanical advantage of the ramp is 3 meters because the length of the incline is 3 meters, the height is 1 meter, and you divide height into length. So we want to go into 3 times. So you can increase the mechanical advantage if you stretch that ramp out to 6 meters and you were still just going 1 meter high. Your mechanical advantage becomes a 6 at that point in time. It makes it even easier to row stuff up. You're covering a greater distance, but it's easier to cover, okay? Everybody kind of grab where I'm going here? That's what we talked about when you see a ramp a lot of times, especially coming out off of a private home, where someone might need, might be using a wheelchair or something, and the stoop, might be this high, the porch might be this high, and the ramp, they don't just build a ramp like this, they stretch it out, and sometimes they even have to kind of, add it where to go this way and then back out this way sometimes. But the whole idea is the more they can stretch it out, the more mechanical advantage they have, and it makes it easier to actually go up to get up there. Okay?
Wait,
yes.
Your entire, if you were handicapped, could you make your entire basically sidewalk up to your steps ramp? Because if you
Yeah, as long as it's your property, no one can tell you. Well, they can tell you, but
HOA.
you can use it. Usually, you can get if it's for medical reasons, you can build a ramp out in your yard, even at a strict HOA.
That's not very neat.
Okay. So the longer the incline, the less input force you need to push or pull the object. Okay, so you got more mechanical advantage. Okay. Now let's take a look at a wedge. This is going to shock you. Not at all, hopefully. A wedge is 2 inclined planes put together. Okay, that's a wedge.
Really?
Okay. Now, if that was made out of metal and was actually, rounded off and sharpened in, you could use that to split wood or whatever. Okay. This becomes a wedge. That's what a wedge is. And then you use it for stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Doesn't that mean it's not a simple machine anymore?
Do what?
Doesn't that mean it's not a simple machine or whatever?
No.
Because it's 2 inclined planes put together?
That's still a simple machine. It becomes a wedge at that point. Yes.
Well, we need to know the ideal mechanical advantage for each.
The only way you can know the mechanical advantage of anything is if I give you the numbers to plug in. There is not just some magical number like every inclined plane does not have a 4 as a mechanical advantage. It depends on the length and the height.
But what we need to know that to get the mechanical advantage of a inclined plane is dividing the length of the inclined plane.
It wouldn't hurt to know that. I'm not saying he'll be on the test, but it wouldn't hurt to know it.
But
It's called knowledge.
for each.
Just because you're not being tested on it doesn't mean you don't have to know it, or wouldn't be good to know. Truth of the matter is, Julia, you would never use that. How many times have you ever walked up a ramp and went, if this thing was 2 meters longer, my mechanical advantage would be more. Seriously, you just,
The more you know.
It's just knowledge. Is it something that is going to change your life if you know it? Probably not.
Well, maybe.
I doubt it, unless you're
It's
going to build your own
logic.
ramp when you get older, but by the time you get to that point, you're not capable of building the ramp. So. All right. If you ever slice an apple with a knife, pulled up a zipper, or seen someone chop wood with an axe, you are familiar with another simple machine known as the wedge. Okay? A wedge is a device that is thick at one end and tapered down to that thin edge at the other end. It might be helpful to think of a wedge like the one shown over here. Okay, I don't think I showed you. I held this up for them. I'm not sure I turned it We put two inclined planes together and made a wedge. Okay?
My dad has
Okay.
one.
Did you glue it together?
No.
Did I tape it together?
He just no, glue.
Why do I don't need to put it together.
I mean, the axe is a simple machine.
An axe is a simple machine. Okay? Now, so a wedge is a device that is thick at one end, tapers down to a thin at the other. Okay? And how it works is you use a wedge, instead of moving an object along an inclined plane, you move the inclined plane itself. Okay? For example, with an axe, when an axe is used to split wood, the axe handle exerts the force on the blade of the axe, which is the wedge. And I don't know how many of you have ever split wood with an axe, but I'm going to tell you, if you haven't, you're missing out on a lot of fun. You need to experience that once in life. But make sure you got adult supervision, because if you miss, you can hurt yourself.
I did it once.
We have a
Once.
wood splitter, and I think it's a lot of fun just to press a button and hear a
I do it every time I go to the
But same principle. Okay?
Yeah,
Stop,
it just goes like this, little wedge,
stop,
and it just, like,
stop.
pushes it.
I guarantee you, I have chopped enough wood to fill this top floor over my lifetime. All with an axe or a wedge, I guarantee it. Okay? But I grew up different times, different circumstances.
Can't
Okay?
you, it looks fun, but after like 5 or 10 chopping, your arms are sore after a while. When you're chopping wood.
Yeah, it is very tiring work.
Not after 5.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
like after
the force pushes the wedge down into the wood. The wedge, in turn, exerts an input force at about a 90-degree angle to its slope, and it splits the wood in two. And if you're really good, you can split it with one whack. Okay? Wedges are part of your everyday life. For example, a zipper depends on the wedges to close and open. A pencil sharpener, a cheese grater, even a shovel are all made up using wedges. Think about the shovel.
because it's so
So you dig a hole, it comes down
it cuts into the dirt.
and it cuts into the dirt. Okay? It cuts into the dirt. Okay? Mechanical advantage. The mechanical advantage of the wedge and the inclined plane are very similar. Okay? The ideal mechanical advantage of a wedge is determined by dividing the length of the wedge by its width. The longer and the thinner a wedge is, the greater its mechanical advantage. Okay? So if you get a long wedge that is thinner, it has more mechanical advantage than a short, wide one.
But what if it broke?
Okay? It's not going to break. They're made out of metal.
Sometimes they're made of.
No, they're not made out of the ones that you use to split wood is not made out of wood. You're going to have to trust me on that one.
Yeah, because
And
you
like
didn't
a
want to
zipper's
chop
metal.
a wedge.
Look,
Plus the
look,
zipper's
look. All you little city boys, just be quiet. Okay?
I live on
Y'all gonna have to trust me. You're gonna have to trust me on this, okay? You're gonna have to trust me.
I split
I'm a country boy. I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about chopping wood and using wedges and things, okay? Okay?
I'm not a
Your
city
size
person.
I completely know what you're talking about. Seriously, I know what you're talking about. Andy,
Listen at them all. They're all farmers. You know, they put a tomato plant in one time. They're a farmer.
My grandpa actually.
They was driving down the road and saw a cow. That makes them a rancher, right? I mean, come on. Okay. All right, be quiet. Be quiet. Let's finish up.
I do own a few cows.
I mean, Leo takes credit. Leo's got an old sow that had piglets, and he even takes credit for that.
Yeah.
I mean, poor little sow had nothing to do with it. It was all Leo.
I know. Leo is only.
All right. Stop. Look, these guys don't want to watch a 2-hour video of you people talking about your expertise in life. Okay? Or me, as far as that goes, but you have to listen to me. Okay. Here we go. All right. For example, here's think about this, okay? The ideal mechanical advantage of a wedge is determined by dividing the length of the wedge by its width. The longer and thinner a wedge is, the greater its mechanical advantage. For example, the cutting edge of a steel carving knife is a wedge. Okay? when you sharpen a knife, you make the wedge thinner, you're sharpening it, okay? So you're making it thinner, and that increases the mechanical advantage, okay? This is why sharp knives cuts better than dull knives, okay? You got more mechanical advantage. The sharper the knife, the better it cuts. That's more mechanical advantage, okay? All right, now, believe it or not, a screw is a simple machine, okay? Okay? Like a wedge, a screw is a simple machine that is related to the inclined plane. Okay? A screw can be thought of, and here's the deal. This is why. It is an inclined plane wrapped around a cylinder. That's what makes a screw. We're going to prove that in a little bit. We're going to let you take a pencil and a piece of paper, and you're going to see how that works. The spiral inclined plane forms the thread of the screw, okay? How does it work? When you twist a screw into a piece of wood, you exert an input force on the screw. The threads of the screw act like an inclined plane to increase the distance over which you exert the input force, okay? As the threads of the screw turns, they exert an output force on the wood, okay? That's why when you build a deck, most of the time you use screws to hold it all together, not nails. Okay? A screw will hold a whole lot better than just nails. Okay?
Then why did we have
Okay? Said it helped better. I didn't say they weren't useful. Okay? Why do we have different lenses for glasses?
minor?
Well, the reason being is because different people need different things. So some
What size
people,
guy needs better glasses?
yeah. So
how thick mine are.
that's why we have different everything. Yeah, that's okay. My wife, she likes that. Okay? Many devices act like a screw. For example, boats, light bulbs has it. Jar lids. Okay, you look at the jar lid in up on figure 15 there. Okay? When you turn that lid, your small input force is greatly increased because of the screw threads on the lid. Okay? So the threads are on the lid or pulled against the matching threads on the jar with strong enough force to make a tight seal. Okay? The mechanical advantage, the closer together the threads of a screw are, the greater the mechanical advantage. Okay? So if you ever paid any attention to screws, you got machine screws, wood screws, just the everyday common one that can be used for multiple things. The threads on them are different widths apart. Okay, you got the spacing between the threads are different. The threads are wider. They're at a different angle sometimes. So you've got certain ones that are made for certain things, and they hold better in that material. Okay. Your input force is applied over a longer distance. The longer input distance results as an increased output force. Think of the length around the thread as the length of the inclined plane. Okay, the length of the screw as the height of the inclined plane. So you can get the same. You can figure out the mechanical advantage by applying the same formula. Okay. All right.
We're done.
Now.
Not done.
We're going to watch about 3 little videos. I'll send you the links. They're very short. Hopefully you'll learn something. Bye.